Hi everyone. So I'm just doing probably a quick live tonight. It's not my usual setup. I'm familiar with doing YouTube lives. Doing either tomorrow or the following day. I will figure out the exact time because it will be in the evening. I'm very excited about it. I'm gonna do a stained glass project from start to finish, theoretically. It'll be more like the cooking shows where you kind of have step A done, step B done, but also doing it live. So you can see the entire process of what it actually takes. There's some things that I just don't have the setup for in order to show you how cutting it all on, soldering it, patining it, everything like that. So it'll be a lot of but tonight I'm just going to be on here if anybody wants to chat. Otherwise, I'm going to just I had to fix the cauldron that got really messed up when I was doing a live last time. Sometimes things happen. I do know that the actual foil that I'm using is not the greatest quality, and so that's causing me a little bit of problems. But I was able to fix that up, and now I'm just gonna kind of go through and foil. So I have a couple of like little potion bottles. It's a little bit of a witchy theme, spooky theme. Um, they've all been washed and cleaned. And then I'll kind of tell you what I'm doing. I know it's not the greatest setup. Normally I have that view that's like straight up and down where you can really see everything. But I just figured I would do this while I had a little bit of time. And it's not something I normally film. So I thought I'd come on here and do that and kind of let people know that I do plan on, I did a poll on my page asking people what they wanted to see. Weird spam comments, asking people what they wanted to see, and it was very much about doing a full stained glass project from start to finish. And that's kind of what I intend to do. But I'm not able to do it from start to finish just because like some things like washing it, you can't you're not able to do that like on I'd have to have buckets of soap and water and it would just be a disaster. So some of the stuff I have to have pre-done, but I'm going to show the entire process, every single step, and explain every single step. And that'll probably be tomorrow. But otherwise, right now, I'm just going to foil. And I'm trying to get it as even as possible on both sides. When you have different thicknesses of glass that you're working with, or if you have different textures, it can be a little bit hard of an adjustment. But we're just going to go for it. And I have noticed that, so this copper foil is slightly thicker than the other roll that I've had, that I was working with. And I do notice that I struggle a lot more with this one. It breaks a lot easier, especially around the curves. That's not that big of a deal, but I think the adhesive on this one's not as great either. So I'm kind of trying to test it inside because I was doing this outside yesterday and it's been so hot and humid. And I wonder if that had an impact on it. So you basically go around and try to put it even on both sides, as even as possible. And it's easier when you can kind of be a little bit closer and look at what you're doing. But that's all right. And then once it's on there, you kind of go around. I know it's going to break in like the corners right here, but you choose to start to spot to start at. And when you get to the corners, you want to make sure that you're pressing it down and not just kind of smushing it, because that's not going to have your adhesive stick. This one's pretty flat, but if you have a lot of textures, it can be really difficult to actually work with. Kind of just go through. I have another tool. And press it all in. This one is a little bit more of the, I think a lot of people don't really enjoy doing this part of stained glass. I normally just throw on my headphones. Have a little bit of a different setup, so it's a lot easier to work with. But throw on my headphones, zone out, and just kind of go with it. I think grinding is my least favorite part of the entire process. But that's another thing where you can just put on your headphones and be really present in the moment. And you just want to make sure that it's all really pressed in there. And you'll be able to feel, if your glass isn't, you'll kind of be able to feel it like pulling up a little bit. And so you just go around it and press it even more. But you have to be careful because that adhesive will definitely rip up on you or tear. And so you got to kind of watch. And you want to pull it kind of towards you and press down towards you, because if you're going the opposite direction, it's going to just lift that adhesive. And you can definitely feel where it's not pressed in. And if you don't fix it at this point, it's going to come back to haunt you in your next step. So just fix it. Don't even bother trying to not do it, because you're absolutely going to pay for it during the next one when it comes time to solder. So I had a little bit of a chip in the glass here. It's hard to see. It got caught on the grinder right where that edge is. I had this issue with another project and I ended up just kind of moving forward with it, and it worked out fine. So I'm gonna try it again and see if that works. And then when you find little cracks in it, all that you have to do is, it's hard to see from where the angle I'm at. You definitely don't have to have as much of an overlay on there, but I do it because my fingertips usually touch the edge and that oil prevents it from sticking as well on the glass. But you don't have to use as much as I do. And before you actually go and fix it, you want to make sure that you press it into the glass, more so up by this copper line here. Because if you don't, when you go to actually use your X-Acto knife on it, the bottom doesn't matter as much, but when you go to use your X-Acto knife on it, it's going to peel up if it's not really pressed in there. It's so different doing this without my normal setup and kind of being outside and having more sounds and excitement and being able to see a lot better. And so when you get to the edges, I know it's kind of hard to see. If you can even see it or not, I'm not sure. But when you get to the edge where your overlap is, when you were originally going around and doing your copper foil, you might have a little bit of excess on one of them because they're not lined up perfectly. All that you have to do again is just go with your X-Acto knife and kind of bleed that line into your actual, the rest of your line. So if it's a little bit over, just kind of gently take off a little bit, and it will help when it comes time to saw. Thought I'd try a different angle. I don't Sometimes it does kind of peel up a little bit. And even though it doesn't seem like it, you absolutely want to go around these edges here on the very edge of it and make sure that it's really pressed in there, because this copper foil using reinforcement. Let's see. This one's not too bad. I do want to get the black foil backing because this one actually is pretty good on the evenness, but if it wasn't, you would be able to see the copper color come through, especially after you solder. I'll kind of just put this one out here so you can maybe see kind of a little bit what's gonna form. So usually if I have larger pieces, I will make sure that I go through and do all of the same glass. Because it just makes it a little bit easier to get the feel of the evenness on each side, you know? They do have machines that you can kind of use for this too. I don't know that I'd ever want one because I feel like it takes away a little bit of the character of the piece. And as a beginner, you absolutely want to learn how to do every step of the process and get good at it. You never know when those techniques are going to come into play, when you're going to need to know how to do something. It's just good to know. It's just good to be better at it than rely on machine. I know it's a little bit hard to see in this angle. And the curves are definitely something that I still struggle with, but especially in this lighting and this angle. So I know that it's gonna crack on this one, mostly this one. I can feel it's not really pressed in there, but I just know it's gonna crack right there. But the good thing about copper foil is it's really easy to fix. And I've also found that the copper foil method versus the lead came, the copper foil is a lot more forgiving to hide all of your imperfections. I originally took a lead came version, which is more when you see like glass windows, stained glass windows, that type of thing. They're making it with lead came instead of the copper foil for the most part. Some people do use copper foil. And I've just found that lead came is not as forgiving at all as copper foil is, whether it's the pattern or the techniques. It's also a different process. The basics are the same. Highly recommend learning with the lead came version. The basics like the cutting of glass and that stuff is absolutely the same, but the materials are different. And so because of that, you kind of have different techniques and different processes. And I find that it is way harder to cover up imperfections, and you recut your glass so much more because you can't fix it if you go too far. Copper foil, on the other hand, seems like it just hides it a lot better. You don't have to worry as much if there's a curve where it shouldn't be, or it's a bad example because that makes it sound like you can have a bunch of mistakes, and you can't really. But the solder hides a lot more on copper foil than it does on the lead came version. My neighbors are outside right now. I never film in this area either, which is so weird.